All right, ladies, you're good to start.
You ready now?
Yep, you can go ahead and start.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's MBDA Masterclass. My name is Brandy Gouder, and I'm so excited to be your moderator for this event. The National Black Doula Association mission is to equip Black, Indigenous, and people of color birth workers and families to combat the high rates of maternal mortality and morbidity rates. We do this by providing professional directory, training, mentorship, and resources, all with the goal of ensuring culturally competent and empowering care for Black and Brown birthing people. We encourage you to connect with us in the comments tonight, share where you're tuning in from, ask any questions, and engage in conversation. This is a village. Don't be scared to ask questions, and we look forward to connecting with you in the comments. Tonight's speaker, Abri Sunshine, Aubriana Kimbrough,
Either
is
way.
yes, known as is a proud native of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and is a founder and principal doula at Love and Wisdom, a practice rooted in plant medicine, spirituality to affirm women and girls across the womanhood continuum. She has been a Kappa trained doula since 2019 and recently studied with Mama Tutu Village to become a lactation specialist. She serves clients in both the DMV and North Carolina. Aubrey's calling to birth work began long before her training, and her favorite part of birth is the sacred moment when mothers welcome their babies earthside. She is a member of the National Black Doula Association, where she values the network of expert doulas and the shared commitment to birth equity. Alongside her work with Love and Wisdom, Aubrey is a dedicated women's advocate and balances her birth work with her full-time role in philanthropy at the Washington Area Women's Foundation. Aubrey, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Brandy. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I know it's a lot to start off conversation, but I appreciate you for having me in this space. And I appreciate each of you for joining the conversation today. Let's go ahead and get right in. Black mothers in the US initiate breastfeeding at a rate of about 74%. Yet only about 20% exclusively breastfeed through 6 months. This is well below the national targets. US born mothers face the steepest challenge with just 40% breastfeeding at all and 13% exclusively, compared to 82% and 20% among foreign Black mothers. These disparities reflect the impact of systemic barriers, as well as limited maternity leave and workplace support for pumping, breastfeeding as a whole, and just cultural competency around lactation care. These disparities are also reflective of historical trauma and myths about breastfeeding, and of course, the targeted formula market that is prevalent in Black communities. We also see amongst Black women low social support and role models and financial pressures that may require women to return back to work. So I know I just jumped into that, but I really wanted to frame conversation today. So before we dive deeper, let me go into a little bit about myself. I know Brandy gave a warm introduction, but just wanted to come from me. So my name is Aubriana Kimbrough, and I am a birth doula and certified lactation specialist. While the title of this chat is Lactation Basics, I could not do this conversation in 30 minutes. When I think about everything that I've learned as a lactation specialist, when I thought about the interactions that I've had with mothers, those who are friends of mine, those who are close family members, and even those of afar, just thinking about all of those stories, there was no way that I can just couple that into 30 minutes of lessons. And when we talk about breastfeeding, breastfeeding is so vast, breastfeeding is so beautiful. It's the magical act of having milk flow from your breast and being able to utilize that to feed your new baby. When I think about all of that, there's no way that I would just want to leave you all with 30 minutes of information. And because it's so vast, if I got into all of the details around breastfeeding, you all would have so many questions around like next steps, how to initiate it, just so much going on. So what I wanted to do during this call today is really ground us in the stories of women who have breastfed, regardless of what their community told them, regardless of what they may have felt internally about what their body was capable of doing, or regardless of where they were. I want to use these stories to just leave you with the inspiration that I've had with the women in my life. So hopefully you can be inspired and understand the strength that we have to breastfeed and redefine the language that we use when we talk about feeding our children breast milk. So if you are a mother, if you are a support person, if you know somebody who is breastfeeding, please feel free to engage throughout this conversation. If any of these stories resonate with you as I'm going through them, please feel free to drop a milk emoji, a heart emoji, and just have conversation today. As Brandy mentioned earlier, we will leave some time at the end for question and answers. So if there is anything that's very pressing that you need answered today, if you're a breastfeeding mom that's in a crisis mode, then please feel free to send those in the chat. So let's get back to this conversation about breastfeeding. So breastfeeding offers powerful benefits for babies, for mothers, and for families. They support communities, they support healthy bonding, and overall long-term well-being. So as we kick off conversation today and we think about the community support, we think about bonding, we think about well-being, we think about its vast benefits. I wanted to start off with a special story about my younger sister. I'm going to go ahead and name her. I don't think that she would be irritated by me mentioning her name amongst a bunch of strangers. But Clarissa birthed my handsome nephew, who is now 1 year old. And at the time, she was 25 years old. So at the time that before she gave birth, I was her doula, of course. But we had prenatal conversations, and she didn't know in that moment that she would become the first woman in our family unit to actually breastfeed. I feel like it was just so much pressure on her during those conversations. She said that she felt inadequate. She felt that her breasts were too big, and it was just overall just a lack of knowledge because she hadn't seen it modeled in our family. But throughout our conversations, I reassured her that breasts come in many sizes, many shapes, and many forms, and your body is well equipped to, produce the milk and to be substantial for feeding your baby. So fast forward to birth, beautiful labor experience, and able to get my nephew latched. She was able to initiate breastfeeding, and I will never forget. Once she got home and got settled, she started to, produce the colostrum, and there was some conversations around, oh, this is not enough, this is not enough. But if you know, colostrum is that first expressed milk. It's very thick, it's golden, and your body really doesn't produce a lot of it. And certain times, like I said, if you haven't had it modeled that, what breastfeeding is, when you see that little bit of tiny milk compared to the formula bottles that you get in a hospital, you may be thinking like, oh my God, this is inadequate, this is not enough. So sure enough, some of those emotions came to her. So we had conversations around, the baby's stomach is just itty bitty, it doesn't take that much to fill up. The colostrum is giving your baby everything that it needs at that time. And, your milk will transition and your mature milk will come in. So a few weeks later, of course, as I stated, her mature milk came in, and she was so excited to send pictures of bottles that she had expressed full of breast milk, and just felt so grateful and proud of herself in that moment. And I just love that story because it just redefines that regardless of what your community has done before you, you have the pathway, you have the gateway to create a new story for your family and for your lineage. Breastfeeding may seem taboo when you don't see folks around you doing it that often, but it's still doable. It may seem taboo when you think your breasts are too big or you're not getting enough milk, but it's your body's natural calling and you can do it. And I just want to leave that piece of the story and leave you all with that. Just like my sister Clarissa, your body is perfectly capable and your body is perfectly made for breastfeeding. So transitioning a little bit out of storytelling mode, did you know that for babies, breastfeeding provides ideal nutrients and antibodies that protect against infections, allergies, and chronic illness? Now, me, myself, I always have to pick on my mom because I was not a breastfed baby. And when I tell y'all, I had to overcome so many allergies. And so sometimes I'm just like, Mom, I wouldn't have had all these allergies if you would have breastfed me. But regardless, we do know that breast milk provides some of those nutrients and help really with the baby's development and helping to produce a strong immune system. Breastfeeding also supports brain development and reduces the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, also known as SIDS. And for mothers, it aids in postpartum recovery by helping the uterus to return to its pre-pregnancy size and reduce bleeding. It also reduces the risk of ovarian cancers, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressures. And most importantly, it strengthens that emotional bond between the baby and the mother, which may reduce the rates of postpartum depression. So back to my sister's story, I just want to leave you all with how excited she was to see what her body was capable of producing and how excited and proud she felt when she was able to, have that mother-baby bond and provide her baby with the nutrients that he needed. So back into my storytelling mode, I wanted to tell another sister about my lactation sister, who I actually went through my lactation course with. So I won't say her name on camera. We'll just call her P for the course of this conversation. But P is a mom of 4. And when we began our lactation training, she had just birthed. And so she started a year-long lactation course with a 3-month-old. And in that class, every single class that we had, P showed up with her little baby and she exclusively breastfed in class. Now, what was so just amazing about the story of P was it was the first time that I seen Black women in community really supporting each other with their breastfeeding journey. Anytime that P needed to take a break to get some, I'm saying P, and now that I'm like, that doesn't sound like ideal. But we'll keep going for now with P, but not, P. But anyways, anytime that she needed to step away to take a break or to get some water, her lactation sisters, of course, us in the room, we would hold the baby. We would ensure that her pumps were clean. If she ever, had any leakages, we would make sure that she had, breast pads. But it was just such a beautiful reflection of community between Black women. And pretty much everyone who had birth in that class were either pumping or exclusively breastfeeding or had breastfed. And so, transitioning from this story with my sister where, we were in a community where none of our family had breastfed to now receiving my lactation training at the time and seeing so many women who were in their breastfeeding journey supporting each other, it really reminded me that there is support. And that's something I want to leave you with today. When you're going through this journey, especially if it's new for you or if you have other children, or even if you're balancing, like P, for example, a new year-long class, you can still do it. You just have to find your support system. And so your support system can start at the hospital. A lot of women don't know, but you have the right that before you leave the hospital, you can request to have conversation with the IBCLC. international board certified lactation consultant, and that person will help you to latch your baby. They will help you to check to see if there are any like tongue ties or any abnormalities within the facial structure that would hinder or make it a little bit more difficult for breastfeeding. They will make sure that you have your pumps and that your pumps are the correct size, but that is your right. And a lot of women don't know going into the hospital that they have these resources. And let me tell you, when you get home, that is not the end of the story. There are women in your community who are ready at the drop of the dime to be supportive of you within your journey. They want to see you succeed. They want to be there to, wipe the milk away or tell you that it's, leaking through your shirt or, let you borrow breast pumps, whatever the case may be. I've even been in situations where, there were milk banks where if a mother wasn't producing enough milk or maybe she had doubles, there were other women willing to step up to provide their breast milk. And that is just so powerful. In addition to having that community outside of the hospital, you also, depending on your insurance, most women have the option to have a IBCLC come to their home or a lactation specialist like me come to their home. And even if it is like dire need and you need to take your baby somewhere just to ensure that, they're latching appropriately and that you have all the tools that you need, you can go to the WIC office, you can go back to the hospital. There are just so many resources. And so the reason why I wanted to, talk about the story of P is because she was able to breastfeed throughout the duration of this 1-year class. She was able to do it while in class, while having multiple children, because she was supported and uplifted by community. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, that's for private or Black women don't breastfeed. Black women do breastfeed. Black women are supportive of each other. And if P can do it, then you can too. So moving on, like I said, two of the main things that I do additional things that I do want you to take away from that story is to know your rights when you're in the hospital and to be sure that you request the IBCLC. Be sure to check for any tongue ties, lip ties, or, any cracked nipples or whatever the case may be, any trouble that you're dealing with. Make sure that you are talking with your care team. And also note that if you decide to breastfeed and you're in a hospital setting and you notice that the staff is bringing your baby like bottles of formula or, requesting that you formula feed your baby, know that you have the right to deny that. Know that you have the right to tell your care team that you don't even want formula to be provided to you in a hospital setting. And in the case that you're not able to breastfeed, you can also request donor milk. I'm not going to get too deep into donor milk right now. I feel like it's a lot of taboo around that, but there is a lot of strict protocol to ensure that the milk is safe. But I just want to say that there are other options. But I know sometimes for Black women, especially, in the hospital setting, we are being offered formula, which takes me back to my introductory statement around, Black women being targeted with formula because it's like easier or whatever the case may be. You have the right to say no. You have the right to request help. All right. So I do know that we are approaching time, but I just want to leave you with one final story, success story. My close friend, I don't think she's going to mind if I call out her name either. So I'm going to go ahead and call out Miss Treasure, who is a outstanding mompreneur. So she's an entrepreneur and a mom of two, who decided to exclusively breastfeed her two girls until the age of 2. And she just was so motivated by the fact that breastfeeding provided so many nutrients and benefits to her baby. It didn't matter what her community told her about breastfeeding. It didn't matter if people told her, girl, that baby is too old. It's time to take her off the breast. She knew what she wanted to do and she stuck to it. And so, I just wanted to bring up Treasure's story because breast milk is a living, changing fluid. So as those two girls were, utilizing her for food, feeding at the breast, the breast milk that they were getting at, the time of delivery was way different than the breast milk that they were getting at 2 years old. And how amazing is it that your body can have cues from your baby's saliva and know and make triggers in your brain to reduce different types of milk? How just astonishing is it that this changing fluid is designed specifically for your baby's needs? So breast milk contains proteins, it contains healthy fats, carbohydrates, all needed for the growth and energy of your baby, plus vitamins and nutrients for development. As I mentioned before, breast milk is rich in antibodies and immune cells that protect against illness, as well as hormones and growth factors that support healthy growth. It also contains special prebiotics that help build a strong, healthy gut and immune system. And I'm always big on healthy gut for babies. I think that's a conversation that we often lead to the side, because at 4 months, people be ready to feed their babies chicken bones. And I just need y'all to remember Treasure. She exclusively fed to about 1 year old, and she started to incorporate, table food. But her body produced the milk and sustained her baby at that age. So don't think that, you need to feed your baby all of these, gut damaging foods. Your breast milk is capable of changing. It is a fluid that is going to constantly evolve to the needs of your baby. Whew. So I told the story of 3 women in my community who have been exemplar to me, who have shown me that Black women do breastfeed, who have shown me that Black women are capable, and who have shown me that there is a community of support for women looking to breastfeed. I hope that as we continue conversation throughout this month, which this month is National Breastfeeding Week, that you all can feel motivated in these stories and see yourself as a Treasure, or my sister Clarissa. I hope that you all feel motivated to talk to an IBCLC or to initiate breastfeeding and learn more about this beautiful experience. And I just hope that you all feel motivated to utilize exactly what your body provides for you to give to your baby. So I hope you enjoyed conversation today. I also want to give a shout out to the National Black Doula Association for sponsoring this call and having me. So I will take a pause. I know we have about 5 minutes to answer any questions and to have further conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Abri. That was amazing. We've had some great questions coming in from our live audience. I'm going to pull a few from the chat so you can share your thoughts.
Okay.
The first question is, what are the most important things to know about breastfeeding in the first few days after birth for new mothers?
Okay. There's a lot of things to know, but I will say, I'll give you top 3. The first is to understand that your body is not going to, I wish I had a baby bottle down here, but your body is not going to produce a full cup of breast milk. During the first stage of breast milk production, your body is going to release colostrum, which is heavy in healthy fats and nutrients that your body needs. The colostrum is going to be maybe about, I feel so bad because all of my breastfeeding tools are over here. But the colostrum that your baby needs is going to fit in like a little tablespoon. So just ground yourself on knowing that it is going to be a process. Also ground yourself in knowing that this is new for your baby too. Your baby has been in your womb for 9 months. They're not going to come out knowing how exactly to like hop on the breast and like go full force. So it is, a give and take relationship, and one that you have to work through with your baby to understand their hunger cues, to understand their feeding schedule, to understand their lactation preferences. So those are my 2 top things. And the last thing that I'll say is that if you are feeling any type of discomfort, any type of swelling in your breast, make sure that you are completely emptying out your breast. And if your baby is unable to do that because they're smaller, then make sure that you are expressing that breast milk, because you do not want to get mastitis. You do not want to have like swollen breasts or anything from breast milk. So those are some of my like top 3 things that come to mind.
Okay. And can you explain how a lactation specialist can support mothers who are struggling with lactation or milk supply?
Yes, very good question. The first thing I would say is that it is beneficial if you haven't breastfed before to have some of those breastfeeding conversations at your prenatal visit, so you're not totally blind going into the experience. But a lactation specialist can come into the home, or you can go into their office, and they can basically monitor or just like have an eye on you when you're breastfeeding. And they can, based on what they see, provide tips and tricks on how to improve your latch, or just improve, your schedule, how to feel more comfortable, confident. But they're just really there to see what you're doing and to kind of course correct. A lactation specialist can also identify, like I said during my session, like any type of like issues within the mouth that would prevent, like orally within the newborn, that would prevent them from latching. So they can do an assessment on the baby to provide like any tips and recommend you to either a specialist or back to your PCP. And as far as breast milk production, the one thing I will say about breast milk production is it's a cycle. So as your body produces what your baby takes. So if you're wanting to up your breast milk production, then you would empty your breast more. That means, feeding on demand with hunger cues. That may be maybe expressing via a breast pump or hand express. But basically, once your body is used to producing at a certain level, if you want to increase it, the main way to increase it is to basically trick your brain and say, hey, I need more milk. The way that this is going to give you more milk is to either, latch or to express. Now, if you're having additional concerns about just breast milk production, then a lactation specialist may be able to give you some referrals for some herbal remedies, give you some referrals for just like, how to massage your breast, how to get on like a schedule. And then if you have additional concerns, they may also be helpful with referring you to a specialist.
And then another question is, when should you not breastfeed or chest feed?
That's a good question. There's a lot of back and forth between when, but I would say if you have any type of rash that may be infected, or that is not, that can like be transferred to the baby, then definitely you don't want to breastfeed. If you have like cracked, broken nipples, like those all are things that are normal. But if you're seeing like very inflamed, red, like lumps in your breast, then that may be a bigger issue. Maybe your baby isn't emptying your breast all the way, and you may want to like scale back or go see your PCP before continuing to breastfeed. There's some conversation about, breastfeeding if you have had like alcohol, or maybe if there is like a little bit of like red in your breast milk. So red is okay as long as you don't have any type of infectious disease. Sometimes, your nipples may crack, or just, with you getting used to the breastfeeding like journey, there may be like a little bit of blood that, comes into your supply, and that's okay. And then sometimes if you have a drink, some people may want to pump and dump. That's really under the discretion of the individual as well. So it just really depends. There are a few cases where you absolutely shouldn't, but what I think is so amazing about breastfeeding is your body is kind of adapting. So as long as it's nothing that you feel concerned about transferring to the baby, you should be okay.
And then, can you still breastfeed if you have breast implants?
Yes. So I've known a sister who did breastfeed. She had a little bit of trouble with her supply, in which she was still able to breastfeed, but she went to go see her primary care physician who gave her a prescription for a medical grade pump, one that was able to just kind of like work with her breast a little bit more. But like I said, your body is so amazing that even if you have complications with getting your breast milk to flow or your supply, there is always a way to troubleshoot that and get you on the right track. I've even heard stories of mothers who like took like a month off to like fix some type of issue and they got right back to it. They went back to see their IBCLC and was like, hey, I need to fix this. What can we do? And they were able to get back to it. So I just think that just shows like how amazing our bodies are. So everybody is not made the same. Everybody's journey is not going to be linear, but you can still do it.
And then one more question. What encouragement or advice would you give to a parent who is feeling discouraged about their breastfeeding journey?
Yeah, I think that in times of discouragement, I just want to draw the attention back to my homegirl who I was in the lactation course with. Really lean on your community. I think when people think about breastfeeding and they feel discouraged, that's often siloed. But when you think about motherhood, when you think about your birth experience, when you think about any new transition, whether that's going to college, whether that's, going from a mom of two to a mom of four, any part of that journey can be discouraging, but that does not mean that you quit. That means that you go find the community that you need, you find the support that you need, and you pick yourself up and try again. But one of the things that I think is really interesting about breast milk is it does your body does produce oxytocin as your baby is extracting and suckling from the breast. So your body is naturally going to make you feel a little bit of happy. So, just latch that baby on, find the support that you need, and just look deep in their eyes and find the encouragement that you need to keep going.
A big thank you to Aubrey Kimbrough for sharing her
Thank
wisdom with
you.
us tonight. And thank you all to the community for joining, engaging, and being a part of this. We're going to bring on Joy, and she's going to tell you about all the upcoming events for the MBDA, what we got coming up next.
Alrighty, guys. Okay, so just to give y'all a little bit of a background on chocolate milk and cookies and what you all can expect for August as we are celebrating um Black Breastfeeding Month. Okay, so chocolate milk and cookies again is a Black breastfeeding celebration. It's more than an event, it's a movement rooted in love, legacy, and liberation. It's anchored in the purpose of Black Breastfeeding Week. This vibrant celebration has created a space to be able to uplift the beauty and strength and resilience of Black breastfeeding families. At its core, chocolate milk and cookies is a joyful act of resistance, a space where Black parents are seen, heard, and celebrated. It's where community care meets education, where advocacy meets joy, and where families gather to reclaim their birth and breastfeeding stories. Alrighty, and just to give you guys some background information of why we choose to have this event, because Black infants are twice as likely to die before their first birthday compared to their white counterparts. Breastfeeding has been shown to reduce these risks. So that's why we have chocolate milk and cookies. This is our act in making sure we're bringing down those statistics and creating a safe space for not only our Black parents and our Black families, but of course our Black babies. Alrighty, guys. So on August the 23rd, we're gonna have chocolate milk and cookies in Norcross, Georgia. It's gonna be at Graves Park. If you're interested in signing up, please go to our link tree and you'll be able to sign up via our Eventbrite. Again, it's August the 23rd. at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please come out, get some free giveaways. If you need diapers, we have some donations from Good Clean Love. If you guys need any resources in your community, if you live in that community, come out so you can meet some other birth workers, other doulas, other people that are there to find community. We're also going to have this event in Detroit, Michigan. It's going to be actually in Inkster, Michigan on August the 30th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it'll kind of be the same deal, right? We're bringing this event to the community to make sure we're uplifting those breastfeeding families as well as those bottle feeding families, formula feeding families as well. All right, guys, if you're interested, go ahead and sign up. And we're looking forward to having you there as we celebrate Black Breastfeeding Month and Black Breastfeeding Week. All righty. And I'll let you wrap it up, Brandy. Thank you so much, Aubrey.
Thank you, Joy. You're amazing. So don't forget to check out the NBDA's events. And of course, you can watch the replay if you missed any part of tonight's masterclass. Together, we are building a network of empowered birth workers who are making a real difference in the lives of the BIPOC birthing people. Have a wonderful evening. And of course, we'll see you next time. And have a good day. Bye.